Hi, everyone. Hope all is well. We had a beautiful Rosh Chodesh gathering at Vicky's yesterday, and we made a hachlata this year that we will Sunday night do an instant replay. So I hope you had a beautiful, restful Shabbos. And even though this is mainly on the topic of Chayei Sarah, it's really applicable to every day of our life. So I was really inspired recently all over again by Chayei Sarah, her life, everything that she did, everything that she gave her heart to, and everything. And every day and every minute, her life was full of life, and she was so alive. We are taught that we're really trying to emulate our foremothers and everything that they lived for. One of the things that Sarah did was she constantly was giving. Her home was constantly open to bring people closer to Hashem. And that was her light, her everlasting light, and her legacy. I hope this month actually, was supposedly Mar Cheshvan, the past month. We're just like a few days away from the next new month. And we were trying so hard to change the Mar, the bitterness, because there's no holidays, into Ram, like really elevating every day of this month from everything that we gained from the whole holiday experience. And now we're just approaching Kislev, which is my prayer to you, that just like the word Kislev has the word kis, pocket, that your heart, lev, should be like a pocket, always open and experiencing just an open heart to give and to live to give like Sarah. We're taught that God is not divided, not into any parts, and in each and every person is the entirety of Hashem. In all of God's glory is in you, is in me. We each have this incredible, wholesome light of Hashem. We have it all. We have the power to continuously give. And in the book, Inner Work, Avodat Hashem, Ashlag, it's the deep teachings of Kabbalah. And it talks about how our whole life is to transform our desire from wanting to receive to wanting to give. That's like our whole mission, to switch and transform that desire. Because in essence, God, his oneness, his one like whole essence is bestowing kindness and goodness. And that's what we want to do. We want to emulate Hashem, and we want to transform from giving, a giving heart, from a wanting to receive. How many times so easy for people to feel so pained. They do so much for this person, they do so much, and they give and they give, and they're just like waiting to get back. And their heart grieves when they don't get back like they gave. And it pains them. People are suffering because they're waiting. They are yearning and longing to receive. And really, that's not why we're here. It's absolutely the opposite of our intention of life. In fact, if anything, when we receive, we become limited. When we are giving, that's when we become limitlessness. We have like enormous power and light and love and energy. And the more we give, the more we're replenished, the more we get revived, the more we're injected with life, the more vitality we have, the more we have a connection to our neshama. The Baal Shem Tov actually went on a journey with his Hasidim, like he would take this miraculous chariot and it would just like fly in the sky and like land in different places. And the Hasidim would like be enthralled because they would experience such mystical dimensions of realities that few got to experience. And one time they went on a trip, and for whatever reason, it seemed short-lived and nothing mysteriously miraculous or fantastic seemed to happen. And they were like wondering, like, well, maybe we did something wrong to not merit the, the holy experience. Like, what do we do? So one Chassid had kind of a brave stance and went to the Baal Shem Tov and asked, like, did we do something to have missed the opportunity? Like, did we demerit, the chance? And the Baal Shem Tov said, no, you don't understand. You see these people that you saw, the baker, the shoemaker, these people, you don't understand. You got to witness the people who reached their ma'ab, their neshama. There was a poritz that took some strange person that nobody knew and threw him in prison because he didn't have the rent to pay. And these tzaddikim sold their essentials to redeem and save this stranger. They reached the level of their ma'ab, their neshama, and you had the privilege to meet them. So we see the giving, the extending ourselves has such a power to bring out the light of our neshama. And what better month, the month of Kislev, when our heart is going to be filled with all the lights, the miraculous lights of Ora Ganuz from Gan Eden, that's like coming into the world and giving our heart even greater strength to be a light, to be one that wants to give. And sometimes it's not so easy, Sometimes it's actually easier to give to strangers than to give to your own home when you're depleted after having given them so much and not gotten so much of a return. And so your heart can feel clogged, heavy, slow, and like any which request from anybody is such a tall order. And it can be very hard to give to the ones like is most important to give, the ones that are part of your own family. So Hanukkah time comes, and it comes once a year, and these 8 lights from Or Ganuz that was hidden away from the time of creation and only comes back during these 8 days. But yet, there's a halacha. And the halacha is that if you only have enough oil to either light the Shabbos candles or either light your own menorah, the halacha is that you forego lighting the Hanukkah lights And the law says that you take preference in lighting the Shabbos candles. So besides this halacha, besides what we learn, which one takes preference, it's really symbolic of our mission. Like our first priority is to light up our home, which represents the Shabbos lights. As the Rebbe always taught us, that we women have the power to bring out the light in everyone else, in our family members, because we have the extra chesed, we have the extra bina, the extra understanding, the extra warmth, the extra light to help bring out their light. So if we don't have so much energy and effort and we're not managing in our life, then, curtail your outside giving a bit. Yes, you want to keep giving, in a way that teaches your family the lesson that, we're not here for ourselves. We're here to be, co-creators and bringing goodness and kindness into the world. But you see, sometimes we don't have enough to do both. And it's so critical that we micromanage our life and take top priority in, first and foremost, giving our light to our own home, to our own family members. We're taught that so many times, like, we're thinking about like the future miraculous Tchias Amesim, when all the resurrection of the dead is going to happen. But honestly, there's what to do to revive the already living that are seemingly not alive, that are just not robotic. Very robotic, very just, going through the motions and not really giving it their zest of life in everything that they're doing. And so we have the ability to try our best to really make it that everything that we do it with such a life force, with such a light, with such a joy, with such a pleasure in giving, just like God. His ultimate pleasure is in giving. So that when we transform our waiting and yearning and longing and our pain of waiting to receive back, and we really try hard to emulate Hashem's ways in having a zest in giving, then that actually has its impact on everyone around us. That can really be a Tchias Amesim for some of those around us that seem like they're not getting it. Because to turn on your light is to really be like a real emistic person, a real pnimi, someone whose inner essence is on fire. It's like so full of life and vitality in doing anything and everything for another. Imagine like this woman, and she's like Mr. Flight, and she's landing and she sees her watch, and it's like there's one kosher restaurant, and it's like really, she's barely gonna maybe make it there to have a meal. And she's with her baby and her luggage, and she's like trying to get there. And imagine she gets there, and then there's like this sign on the door, and the salesperson cold-heartedly looks at the watch like this, slams the door, puts the sign on, closed. Oh my gosh, how heart-wrenching. Are you alive? Do you have any sense of feeling? Don't you see I'm with luggage? I'm with the baby. I just got dropped off with the taxi. Can you have some rachamin on me? A real pnimi would open the door, say, oh my gosh, look at you with your baby, you're traveling. It's after hours, but I'll just, try to make you something. I'll look at whatever leftovers there are and really fully be there for the person. And with again, with a full and kind and happy heart, doing what it takes to make the other person happy and satisfied. That's our goal. To relinquish the desires of the pleasures of the world of receiving and to be on fire to give and to live to give. And it's not so easy sometimes, you know, with some of the people around us that, again, somehow it just can feel so painful when they're not on the giving end at all. Recently, I actually read a story about Elie Wiesel, Holocaust survivor. And honestly, like I was like crying and crying when I read this. And I still like reading it in my head. It was such an impact. Right before he was escaping and running away from his home, he held dearly onto dear life his watch, the gold watch that his mother gave him as a gift. But he was like debating, like, should I take it with me? They'll probably take it from me and steal it, or should I bury it here in my backyard and I will get back to it, and at least I have some chance of that it'll be safe. So that's what he did. With a heavy heart, took his watch and buried it. 25 years later, almost, so longing and yearning to have something from his mother that he had received, yearning and longing to hold that watch again. 25 years later, he went to Auschwitz. 25 years later, he went to his home. And in the wee hours of the night, finally arrived in his yard and started digging for the watch. He's digging and it seems like forever. And is it really still here? Where is it? And all of a sudden he heard like this like sound, like that he got to something, and there was the box. He dug it up. He in the darkness of the night, he couldn't barely see the watch, but there it was. And almost immediately, he says, he couldn't hold it. He had to put it back. He buried the watch and left, never to return again to get it. It was so like, you hear this, it's shocking. It's like, this is his mother's precious gift. But he just felt he had to bury the past. He couldn't hold on to it. He had to like let go of it and like as if to like, the only way I'm going to really be able to live is to move forward and let my past be buried. And in essence, when I was reading this, I was thinking like, that's what we have to do every day. Every day we have to bury yesterday. The hurt, the disappointment, the person that didn't give to you like you had wanted. Oh my gosh. Sometimes you may be floating, you may be soaring and feeling the connection, and you may be the zest of life of doing what you can to give, and everyone around you is just like, just not really there yet. You see, as much as you may be soaring sometimes, you got to practice how to really land softly to the ones around you that aren't really feeling it, to the ones around you or that are in that kind of painful state of blockages and heartaches. And, you know, when you think about like if you're in an airplane and you notice that when the plane lands is when everybody claps. Why is that? Because, it's so easy to be in your own world, to be soaring, to fly high, but to really be able to land softly next to someone, be there with their pain, be there in their challenge is not so easy. Because sometimes we just want to okay, you don't get it, whatever, I pray for you one day, how much can I try? How much can I give? But that's who we are. That's who our neshama is. The neshama that just wants so much to land wherever the other one is and to give of our heart, to give of our listening ear, to give of our spirit as best we can. There's so much to say, so much to really learn lessons from, because just like Chaya, the life, Sarah lived every moment with such a full and happy heart to do whatever she could. This is like the secret ingredients of our success with the next generation. There was a rabbi, and the rabbi was asked, what can I do to really make sure that my children are going to follow my ways, that my children are going to be ben Torahs and go on the derech and really secure their Yiddishkeit. And so the rabbi actually said one word, and the chassid was like, one word? What is the word? Oh my gosh, tell me. So the rabbi said, there's a difference between and oi. If Shabbos is coming and you're full of life, Shabbos is coming. There's a song, Shabbos is coming, and we're so happy. I'm gonna shout out loud that we're so glad. When they see your life. But if Shabbos is coming and Shabbos is coming, or Pesach is coming, I have some, then that's not gonna really make the people around you love Judaism and love Torah and love mitzvot. Yes, it's a big challenge. There's a big Yetzer Hara constantly around the corner, trying to make us feel like depleted and no strength and no vitality, and even feel like a failure. Just the other day, I got a call from a woman, and she's calling me and she's telling me how she doesn't feel successful. And I'm thinking in my head, oh my gosh, poor thing. Let me hear her out. But I already want to say what I want to say, but I'm and I'm glad I listened, because she's like, excuse me. I have 4 children. I can't get them in time to school. And it's so difficult for me. And then finally she says, and I'm 4 months pregnant and I'm just not succeeding. And I'm like, are you kidding? Sheker, what a lie. What, a lie that's just, what do you mean you're not succeeding? That's such a Yetzer Hara making you feel like you're pregnant, for goodness sakes. Women have morning sickness. They're tired. They have extra hormones. They have a baby they're carrying. What are you talking about that you don't feel successful? That's the Yetzer Hara. That's the Yetzer Hara that tricks us and gets in the way of really depleting us, making us feel without that light, without that zest. And we learned in Etz HaChaim the Rebbe Rashab, who's we just celebrated, and in Etz Chaim, he writes that really the sin of Adam and Chava was that they didn't eat from the tree of life. Had they learned the tree of life, which is like the Pnimiyut Torah, it would have given them the strength to withstand the test of the Yetzer Hara. They wouldn't have then given in to their temptation because they had the strength of the Pnimiyut Torah. Pnimiyut Torah helps the Pnimiyut Neshama come bursting out. As if you look at the word Pharaoh, actually, Pharaoh has a very holy interpretation of to burst and to be wild, like with the bursting energy of light. Yes, he used it in the negative and opposite way, and in a way of destruction. But we learn from everything in life, like that. If the more we secure our soul powers with learning, after davening, with meditation, with gazing at Hashem's greatness, with learning the Pnimiyut Torah, then we're bursting with light, with life. If not, it's so easy for the sheker of the Yetzer Hara to becloud us and to darken our vision and to not let us see the light. And it is coming up Hanukkah this month. And the whole message over again, as I was reading how when the Beit HaMikdash was about to be destroyed and Titus came and he slashed the curtains of the holy curtains that were covering in between the two Heichal, which actually also had like a projection of what was going on down under the Beit HaMikdash when hundreds of years earlier there was a prophecy that there was going to be a destruction of the Beit HaMikdash. And so the Aron was stored away in the hidden inner chambers underground. So what was going on underground from these kruvim, you would see on this curtain the image, like a projectory image of what the kruvim were doing down under. So remember when the Jewish people were getting along, the kruvim looked at each other, and when there wasn't Avos Yisrael, the kruvim would not look at each other. And so the image was actually that the kruvim were hugging each other because it was like Hashem was embracing us even through this destruction. And there was a crazy miracle, like a bloody miracle of blood oozing out of these curtains. And the Tzemach Tzedek explains that this was symbolic. Hashem was saying, had you learned more Torah, you would have had a bloody life force, healthy blood, protected blood. Just like when you have healthy blood, you're protected from diseases. So had you learned more Torah, you would have had your vitality, your life force. You would have been so protected. And the teaching is that doesn't make sense. If you look at the teaching, like that had the Jewish people learned Torah, that would have protected them from the destruction. But if you learn, there's 3 horrendous sins: idol worshiping, murder, and adultery. And these 3 sins together aren't as bad as not learning Torah, what's called bittul Torah. So the explanation is, how could such hideous crimes be not as bad as I didn't learn so much Torah. Because the power of learning Torah protects the world from all these crimes and from all these horrible sins that the world does. Our learning Torah protects the world so that we're protected from the evil, destructive forces. And so that's why the blood was coming out of our image on these curtains, teaching us, please don't lose your life force. Don't lose your vitality. Don't lose your umph. Don't lose your light. Don't lose your clarity. Torah is likened to bread because it nourishes our soul. Torah is likened to milk as it cleanses and whitens our character traits. Torah is compared to wine because it makes us happy. It brings joy and a happiness from connecting and revealing and redeeming our godly essence. Torah keeps our blood physically healthy, because when we have Torah and we're happy, our blood is healthy, because when you're happy, your blood is healthy. When you have anxiety, your blood becomes weak. So Torah learning is everything, helps us so much so that the sheker and the things that are happening around us and the ruach shtus doesn't attack itself, and our mind is clear so that we can CRP, we can really cultivate like royal patience and be so kind and loving and giving, because our light is so revealed. So hopefully we will stop counting our steps, we will stop counting calories, we'll start counting our blessings, that we have the Torah to learn, that we have the power in our hand to be that light. We don't need to prove ourselves to anybody else. We don't need to prove even to God. We are light. That's it. We're alive and we are a light, and every small thing, Hashem is lovesick over us and appreciates every little thing that we do. And the Torah teaches us, oh my gosh, when I was learning the Tanya recently, you know, I come from Crown Heights, and in Crown Heights, there's like these Prospect Parks and these botanical gardens, and they have like these like big, huge like columns. And I even remember back when I lived in Israel and we used to go to Caesarea, and like just this gorgeousness of these tall, big pillars. And the image every time comes into my mind when I read in the Tanya how mitzvot create these huge like pillars from down here on earth to up above in the heavens, allowing our soul to soar, to be elevated, to get higher and higher, as I always say, reaching new heights. Each mitzvah, as the Tanya teaches us, becomes like Moshe Rabbeinu's cloud, right? There was a cloud around Moshe Rabbeinu as he was being elevated to go receive the Torah. Each mitzvah is like a cloud, helping us receive the light so we can go higher and higher. To be able to really continue to just have one desire like God's desire, to bestow goodness, that our neshama become a light, and to take absolute pleasure in giving. because that is what sustains us. That is our fuel for life. That is what gives us light and life of eternal pleasure, not just for now, forevermore. So let's take this goal to transform from the wanting of receiving to the wanting to give. My dear soul sisters, you are always beautiful. Keep being that light. Keep loving to give. So you can be co-creator with the world, and we will bring Mashiach that much closer as we continuously give and never give up giving. So we have here Miriam Almog, and we were together on Shabbos day. And I'd like to ask her to share with us insights of the Parsha, Chayei Sarah. I hope this found you well. Hi, Miriam. We share the same name, and it's always a pleasure.
Sorry, I was on mute.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was great being with you on Shabbos. It was a beautiful Rosh Chodesh event that we do on Shabbos Mavarchim, and so nice that we are able to, memorialize it on Zoom afterwards.
So have it on YouTube and forevermore,
Right.
please.
Exactly. So of course I'm so inspired by everything that you say, and I'll just share my little part about Chayei Sarah. And as Miriam was talking, that in the Tanya that we've been learning lately, it talks about the mitzvahs that build it's from the level of Keter, which is 620. So there's 620 mitzvahs, including the 613 from the Torah and 7 rabbinic mitzvahs. But just before this part in the Tanya, we were learning about a tzaddik and the passing of a tzaddik. So it's very, very apropos for Chayei Sarah, the Parsha, when we hear about the passing of Sarah, who was a great tzaddiket. And what does a tzaddik live for? The tzaddik lives for 3 things: faith in Hashem, fear of Hashem, love of Hashem. That's their main focus in life. Now, that's a contrast with most people that, most people's focus in life is, I want more wealth, I want more power, I want more fame. I want to be famous, I want to be powerful, I want to be wealthy. So tzaddik is not like that. And we see with Sarah that it tells us at the very beginning of the Parsha that she lived 100 years and 20 years and 7 years. And so very famous explanation from Rashi that at 100 years, she was as free from sin as she was at age 20. And according to halacha, a person is not liable for punishment for sin until they reach the age of 20. So even though a girl becomes bat mitzvah at age 12 and a boy at age 13 becomes a bar mitzvah, so even though that's the case and they're responsible for all the mitzvahs, they're not liable for punishment until they reach the age of 20. So any little mistakes a person might make between the ages of 12 or 13 to 20, there's no liability. But after that, there is a liability. Now, Sarah at age 100 was as free from sin. In other words, she had no liability because she hadn't done any sins that would make her liable for punishment. So all of her days were perfect. She lived all of her days in service of Hashem. And then he goes on to say that at age 20, she was as beautiful as she was at age 7. So we know that, if we compare a 7-year-old to a 20-year-old, usually when we use the word beautiful, we think about a 20-year-old. I mean, she's fully grown, she's developed, she's beautiful at age 20. Whereas a 7-year-old is very childlike. But that childlike beauty is something very special, because there's a certain innocence about a 7-year-old, which is just absolutely beautiful. And Sarah retained her innocence, her childlike innocence throughout her life. And that was something which was so beautiful about her, that everyone who saw her was attracted to her. As we see the story that Paro was attracted to her, Avimelech was attracted to her, but it was that just inner radiance and innocence and tamimut, that she was just so beautiful. So when Sarah passed away, it left a huge void in the world, and everyone could feel it. And the people of the surrounding place came to Avram, and they said, wherever you want to bury her, just take it. It's for you. Because they saw that Sarah was so beautiful and so special and so giving and so just such an amazing person that did so much for the whole community, the whole environment. And Avram felt very deeply her loss. And his son Yitzchak felt very deeply the loss of his mother. And Avram was very shaken up at that point, because it really hit him that, he had just taken his son just before the death of Sarah. In fact, it was what caused, our sages tell us, the death of Sarah, was that she heard that Avram had taken Yitzchak up to the Akedah, and he was going to offer him as a sacrifice, and potentially Yitzchak could have died. So it really shook Avram up, and he thought, wow, Yitzchak is supposed to be the one to continue the legacy, and he could have easily died at this event of the Akedah, and then there would be no more children. There would be no children. I need to get him a shidduch. And feeling the lack of a mother, of a wife, of a woman in their world, they could really feel that lack, and they really felt they need to find Yitzchak a wife so they can replace that. That's how important a woman is in the home. A woman is so, so, so important in the home. So that was when Avram called his trusted servant Eliezer and said, please go down to my family's place in Haran, Aram Naharaim, and take a wife for Yitzchak from there. And so Eliezer went down and he brought back Rivka. And Rivka, it said that when Yitzchak married her, then he was comforted for the loss of his mother, that she comforted him. And our sages tell us that what was the comfort that he had? Because he saw she had stepped into the shoes of his mother. And the 3 miracles that happened to Sarah while she was alive, they were continuing with Rivka now. So what were those 3 miracles? Those 3 miracles were 3 things which are representative of the special mitzvahs of the Jewish woman. So first of all, when Sarah would bake her challah on Erev Shabbos, and she would make a lot of challah, a lot of bread, and it would stay fresh for the whole week until the next Friday when she would bake more. It tasted so fresh, like it just came out of the oven. It was a miracle, because as we know, bread the next day, and then of course a few days after, and certainly a week later, is not at all tasting fresh like it was when it was just baked out of the oven. But Sarah's bread was fresh. Also, she would light candles on Friday night. We're told that the forefathers, Avraham, Yitzchak, and Yaakov, and their wives, would observe the Torah with all the 613 mitzvahs. So Sarah would light candles on Friday to usher in the Shabbos. And the candles that she lit, normally you light candles and they burn down after a few hours, but her candles stayed burning the entire week until she came the next Friday to arrange them and light them again. It was a miracle. And also, over Sarah's tent, there was always a cloud. And it was the cloud of the Shekhinah, of Hashem's divine presence, that Hashem was always with Sarah over her tent. These are miracles. And when Rivka came, these miracles happened with her. When she baked her challah on Friday, it stayed fresh a whole week. When she lit her candles on Friday, they stayed burning for the entire 7 days until the next Friday. And the cloud returned and rested over Rivka's tent. So we're told that 3 miracles, which are very similar, occurred in the Beit HaMikdash. That when the Kohanim would bake the bread for the shulchan, for the table, it's called the lechem hapanim, the showbread. And they would, every Shabbos, they would bake new loaves, and they would take the old loaves off from the previous week, and they would put the new loaves on, and then the Kohanim would sit to eat the old loaves. And when they would eat them, those loaves tasted as fresh as if they had just been baked that day, just come out of the oven. So delicious. It was a miracle. How could they have stayed fresh for after a whole week? But that's how it was. Also, we're told that when the Kohen would light the menorah, so he would put in the oil to last for, the number of hours necessary to have it burn all night. And yet there was one candle that always stayed burning. It did not go out until the Kohen would come the next afternoon and get ready to light the menorah again. And that was the Ner HaMaravi, the Western candle. It was a miracle. And also we know that the Shekhinah, the divine presence, was present in the Beit HaMikdash, which was manifesting itself in so many different ways, so many different miracles that we saw the Shekhinah, when the Jews would see the Shekhinah manifest itself when the Beit HaMikdash was standing. So these 3 miracles are pretty identical to the miracles that happened with Sarah and with Rivka. And they're the miracles that we create as Jewish women in our home, because we have the power to make our home into a Beit HaMikdash, just like Sarah and Rivka and the Kohen Gadol. So in our home, we are a Kohen Gadol, and our home, we are supposed to turn it into a Beit HaMikdash with those 3 mitzvahs. So we know that we are given the power to, if we need a dough to make a bread with enough flour, that we are supposed to make a bracha and do the hafrashat challah. That is given to the woman as we get the preference to do that mitzvah. And Friday night, we light the candles, okay, for Shabbos. That's given to us. We get the preference, not our husband that come to light the candles, it's us. And the third thing is the going to the mikveh, okay? And that parallels the Shekhinah coming into the home, the laws of the Taharat HaMishpacha. So what do these things really represent? Because it's okay, first of all, when we do those 3 mitzvahs, taking challah, doing the hafrashat challah, lighting the candles on Friday night, going to the mikveh when it's part of the cycle of the family purity. So those things are a tremendous et ratzon, a great time of favor above. And so we can daven at that time for anything and everything that we want, for all the people, God forbid, that are sick, that need a shidduch, that didn't have children yet, need parnasa, just shalom bayit, whatever it is that we want to daven for. Hashem is really, really focusing on our prayers. So we really need to take the opportunity, and we really need to pray hard at those times, because these are our special mitzvahs, and Hashem is taking so much pleasure in watching us do those mitzvahs that are for him, and he's listening. And so we need to really capitalize on the opportunity to give our requests for all those things that we and our family and our friends and our community people need. But they go beyond just those three actual events, because the challah, the hafrashat challah and the baking of challah that Sarah and Rivka did, it represents the kashrut, keeping kosher in the home. And it's really the woman's job and responsibility to establish the kashrut in the home. And kosher food, when we eat kosher food, when we provide kosher food for our family, it's not feeding only our body, but it's also feeding our neshama. And it's nourishing our neshama. And we're told that if, God forbid, a person would eat non-kosher food, then it can lead to the neshama becoming dull and lethargic, and something called timtum halev, where we just cannot get excited about davening, about mitzvahs, that actually eating non-kosher food can lead to that. So that's why it's so important for us to eat kosher food and to give it to our families the highest level of kosher that we can keep, because it's feeding the neshama. And having the neshama be fed is something which leads to enthusiasm in mitzvahs. And I know that when baking challah, each one of the different ingredients of the challah, for example, expresses a different nida, a different character trait. So, for example, when we put in the salt, so the salt can be preservative. So we want it to be something where we say, please let me preserve all the good things, all the good mitzvahs that I do. And let me not preserve the things that are not favorable. When we put in the water, so water is like Torah. So we can ask that the Torah in our home should just flow like water. So all the different ingredients in the challah, they represent different things. So as we are making the challah, or we're making the food at home, we should be having positive thoughts. If we can have kavanas about mitzvahs and character traits, it definitely comes through in the taste of the challah. And I think it definitely builds the emunah of the people who eat the challah even more, and all of the food that we make. If we are seeing all that joy and all that learning, it all goes in. And when the people eat the food, then it just strengthens their emunah even more. So it's not just buying kosher food, but when you're cooking, actually putting your soul into the cooking, to have that soul then go into the souls of the people who are eating the food. So it's amazing, amazing power that we have as women to be able to do that. Then we talk about lighting the candles on Friday night. So it means we're bringing light into the home. And we're bringing light into the home. As Miriam was talking about earlier, we each have so much light, and we can't let our light go out. But a woman in the home, she is the light of the home. She is the sun, and the sun gives the light to all the moon and the stars. That light is coming from the sun. It's just being reflected by the other planets in the home. So our light is so important. And the point that the sages told us of lighting the candles on Friday is so there should be shalom bayit. There should be peace in the home. Because if on Shabbos we didn't light candles beforehand, and especially back in the day, it would be dark, and you couldn't light a candle to make it light. And therefore, people could start running into each other and bumping into each other, and that would lead to arguments. So they established that you should have light in your home, so there will be shalom, there should be peace. And the woman is given that task. So we need to bring peace into the home all the time. Obviously on Shabbos, that's like Shabbat Shalom, right? That should be the time of extreme peace. But all the time, it's our job to bring peace to the home. So how do we bring peace to the home? So we bring peace by learning Torah, davening, saying Tehillim, giving hugs, giving compliments, giving good advice, just doing things which establish an air in the home of peace, an air in the home of love, so that when a person walks into your home, they should not only see the pictures on the walls and the furnishings, but they should feel, wow, this home just feels peaceful. It just feels good to be here. And that's one ability that we have that is so strong that we're able to do that. So we have to just really work to always increase the peaceful activities that we do, which will lead to peace and light in the home. And then the third one is the Taharat HaMishpacha. It's going to the mikveh. So what this really is about in a broader sense is the tzniut, the modesty of a Jewish woman. So the modesty means you are sort of, first of all, setting a boundary around yourself. And you're wanting to have yourself respected, and you're also wanting to have, to be able to respect others. So this is a beautiful thing which we have, the whole idea of the family purity and the laws of Taharat HaMishpacha is that there should be respect between the husband and the wife, that they are two separate people and they can be who they are and it's respected. And there's not demands made on the other to be something that they aren't. And a woman also should develop in herself a sense of modesty, meaning that it's not just about the clothes that you wear, so that your neckline is up to here and your sleeves are down here, but it's also the way you walk, the way you talk, just your overall way you think. It's not about arrogance. It's not about my way or the highway. It's about, I understand Hashem is in charge. Someone has a different viewpoint than I have. I have to listen to what they say and try to understand and try to incorporate some empathy and compromise. And, we need to work together in a cooperative way versus, a chain of command way. That's all. This is what modesty is. Being humble, being open to hearing another point of view, incorporating other points of view, and just walking humbly with Hashem. So Sarah and then Rivka after her, they were so committed to these ideas, the idea of the kashrut in the home that would feed the neshama, that their challah was fresh all the time because the neshama was just awakened in the challah all the time. The candles of Friday night, the candles of Shabbat Shalom, of the peace, burned the whole week, because there wasn't just peace in the home on Shabbos, but through the whole week. They had that commitment to peace, and they carried out the activities of peace. And the idea of the modesty and the tzniut, this is something which allowed Hashem to have his divine presence rest upon their tents. Because when a person is modest and humble and has an openness to Hashem, then Hashem feels comfortable to be there. And because of the fact there was so much peace and there was so much kashrut that the neshamas were activated and healthy. So the divine presence, the Shekhinah, felt comfortable to rest upon the tent. And this is what we are striving. Each one of us can strive to make in our home, make our home a Beit HaMikdash, just like Sarah, our foremother, and Rivka, our foremother, and later after that, Rachel and Leah. And God willing, we will see the actual shulchan with the lechem hapanim, the table with the showbread, and we will see the menorah and the ner hamaravi and the western lamp, and we will see the Shekhinah revealed in the Beit HaMikdash already this year on Hanukkah, which is coming up. So I want to wish everybody a beautiful Hanukkah, a good month of Kislev, a miraculous month, a month of light and miracles. We should have the biggest miracle of Hashem bringing us Mashiach after all this time.
Oh, wow. Thank you so much. I'm like inspired all over again. Wow. Thank you so much for taking your time to do this instant replay. And I look forward to many Rosh Chodesh gatherings together, B'ezrat Hashem. So I believe Chana Youshei is here. And she would also be invited to share some beautiful words of wisdom. Thank you so much, Miriam. I think she's on. Yeah, okay, so we have to get her to unmute and put her.
Hi, Miriam. I'm sorry about all the noise.
Thank you for joining us.
Sure, my pleasure. I'm going to ask the girls to be quiet. So here you're going to see me right here. Hi, everyone.
Hi, beautiful.
Here. So let me ask the girls to be more quiet. So ladies, I want to say hi, everybody. Hi, everybody. Hi.
Wow, what a group.
I mean, a Parshat Chala for a beautiful lady named Meital. We're doing this Chala. She's pregnant.
Hello.
Hi, she's pregnant.
Hi.
Wow, so exciting.
2 days before delivery.
Baruch Hashem.
Now they are waiting for the dough to rise until the baby is cooked in the mother's stomach. Be'ezrat Hashem. So Be'ezrat Hashem, ladies, can you... Yeah, it's Bazon, be quiet, please. טוב, אז בעזרת השם אנחנו מוקלטות פה. So they're all Israeli, but I'm going to speak English. They all understand it. So, בעזרת Hashem, this Parashat of Chayei Sarah is very beautiful and has many, many secrets. Why it has secrets? Because Hashem wants us to learn from a woman. She was the first mother of all the mothers. And Sarah Imenu was one of those ladies who suffer all her life. You know, it's very hard for a woman. Now we are here in Afashat Chala, Baruch Hashem, but it's very hard for a woman not to bring a baby. And Sarah Imenu suffered 90 years without a baby. She prayed for everybody to have the baby, but she couldn't have her own baby. She had 820 babies born in her time, right? Sarah Imenu. But for her, 0. So she suffered a lot inside, suffered a lot. And she prayed to Hashem, but she felt like a prayer not answered. So Hashem, what did he do? Because of her tzniut, because of her modesty, he sent angel to give her besorot tovot umetukot, good news. But she was still smiling, laughing, just so old. Many women tell me, I'm 43 years old, I didn't bring babies. So Sarah Imenu was 90. God can make you the miracle if you want to make you pregnant. In the end, she brings one child that compared to all the children of her generation. This one child, he was Yitzhak Avinu, that from Yitzhak Avinu, Rivka, that she went to bring the water to the camel, she stand up 3 years old, going to bring the water for guests. Don't talk to stranger. Huh? She was like talking to a stranger, Eliezer, but she got him the water to drink. And from that moment, Hashem created the Am Yisrael. She said, from this Sarah and Rivka, I'm going to create Am Yisrael. On that moment was decision with all the Malachim in Shamayim. Avraham Aminu was the one who revealed Hashem. הוא גילה את השם לקדוש ברוך הוא, לאנשים. But רבקה אימנו גילתה את החסד, את החסידות. What kind of young girl will go down to the well and get water and give it to the camel? 80 camels, it's not easy. But she fed them. She said, גם לגמליך אשאב, I will go and bring water to your camel. And when she did that, Hashem liked this character. It just showed that we, all the ladies, we should be in Hasidut, to be nice. And maybe from this Hasidut, to be extra, to do to others, Hashem will give us what we give to others. Because they say the things you give away, you keep forever. She could have said, I'm too young to bring the water to your camel. But she didn't. She was happy to do the job. She had Ruach HaKodesh. She knew that Hashem will reveal a nation from her. Women has 6 sense, nevuah. All women has it. But some women it's developed, some women it's not developed. And when they practice to develop it, they become more and more strong with emunah. When a woman gets strong with emunah, look how beautiful they are. They're all beautiful. Baruch Hashem. Gorgeous, Baruch Hashem. So Hashem when you become strong with emunah and chasidut to do to others, like Rivka did, Hashem send you back this chasidut, this great mitzvah. Rabbi Lubavitch says that we should practice in chasidut all our life, the way Avraham Avinu did and Rivka Imenu did. You all have it. All the women has to help extra. Women brain is to, I want to help, I want to give, because Hashem give her babies. Hashem, she is producing babies in her body. אישה יכולה לייצר ילדים בגוף שלה, כמובן היא זקוקה לעזרה הנוספת, but she is the one who feed the baby. If she eats fish, the baby becomes smart. They tell me, when I should eat a lot of fish, my son will be smart. So I used to eat a lot of fish. I used to believe that. They say, if you eat a lot of herb, your son will be good in the blood system. Everything. I remember the doctor used to teach us, whatever the mother eat, it affects her features, it affects the baby. And if she eat hot pepper, the baby is going hot pepper in the stomach, kick in the stomach. So they be giving us a warning not to eat too much hot pepper. Tapasio and all kind of jalapeno. So the mother has the power to bring a baby. When she brings the baby, she is a M. She called emuna, from the word ima. Ima has the emuna in her stomach, in her soul, in her body, more than the men. Now, don't go to your husband and say, Rabbanit said, I have more emunah than you do. No, don't do that. It's just that Hashem is giving us emunah because we are Ima. Ima has emunim. She disciplined the child. She tell him, where you take that toy from? Is this yours? He said, no, it's not mine. No, I want it. I found it. No, it belongs to your friend. You went to his house. You have to go give it back. No, it's mine. I found it. You have to go give it back. It's not yours. When the mother has emunah, she teaches her children to live in emunah. Whatever is not yours, don't take. The child learn to listen to the mother. And Rivka Imenu, she has the privilege, just like all of you, to give emunah to all the people surrounding you. If your husband do something is not in the way of emunah, try to talk to him nice in emunah. אל תדאג, השם יעזור, הכל יהיה בסדר. אתה תראה, בעזרת השם, אני אביא ילדים, הילדים יהיו טובים, הכל יהיה בסדר, הילד חולה, הוא יהיה בסדר, הוא יבריא. ככה, לעודד אותו כמו שאת עודדת. And now I have a woman here. את רוצה להסביר. Here, her name is Esti, just the name of my daughter. את לא רוצה להיות? Okay, she's a bad. Okay, so Esti here, she's saying that when she delivered her baby, the doctor said, no, that's it. What did the doctor told you? You have to have the C-section. She said, wait a minute, doctor. I have 2 children and they are all born overweight. Let's wait a little bit until I will have complete opening to deliver that baby. Do not C-section me. Meantime, go have a cup of coffee and then come back. So the doctor looked at her and he said, okay, I go do that. And when she came back, she had enough opening to deliver that baby. So Be'ezrat Hashem, I want you to know, ladies, in the Zoom and here, that whatever you do, have emunah that it's all for the best. Hashem will make it up to you. The way he make up Sarah Imenu. He sent her, she suffered all her life. She suffered 90 years, but 38 years after she delivered Yitzchak Avinu, she became happy. She was happy. So, Sarah, Rivka.
Hannah.
She's the ambassador of Israel. So she worked in the consulate, Baruch Hashem, Hashem yishmor ota. So this way, when we have all our ladies in emunah, Hashem make them ima. Emunah is hard. Emunah is practiced every day. But when you succeed emunah, Hashem succeed your life. Emunah is one of the strongest foundation of every Jew. Without emunah, it's hard to be happy. But when you have emunah, you say, this is how Hashem wanted. He knows better what's good for me. So this is how I'm going to live it. And it's very hard to accept God's decision. But when we know that this is for the best, because he knows better, he's the professor of all professors of all the university. He knows the best. So, Bezrat Hashem, I wish for all of you, have a great life, have a life full of emunah, have a simcha in your heart, that whatever is in your life, it happens for the best. I love you all. Thank you so much for Miriam letting me share this. And I love you all very much.
Wow, so beautiful. I always love hearing everything you have to say. Thank you for being here. Thank you for sharing. And give a hug to all those beautiful neshamot you have a privilege of being next to and sharing as well.
Thank you so much. Have a good evening. Bye. Thank you.
Bye. Thank you. Anyone would like to share who's still on this forum? Hi, Julie.
Hi.
Hi.
I don't have anything to share, but I'll just say hi.
It's amazing. My neighbor from when I was 5 years old in Martel Avenue, I happened to reconnect recently at the incredible event that was the Spa of the Soul. I was just like, oh my gosh, what a miracle to go there and see you there.
Yeah, I wanted to go. I mean, actually, because the rabbi invited me, so I wanted to go and
Amazing.
see the place.
I can't believe it. Like we know each other like for 40 plus years.
But I don't. But I was so little when we when you knew me that I don't
So,
remember that time. I
so
don't.
awesome that we're reconnecting. I'm just blown away by Hashem's miracle.
Yeah, it's a small world.
I'm glad you joined us, and hopefully many more opportunities to be together in person, on Zoom, and dancing soon at your Simcha. Wow.
Amen. Yes. So that's in August.
Wow. So exciting.
Mhm.
So blessings to you all, and hopefully you are as inspired as I was.
Yes, thanks for adding me to the chat, and I'll
Yeah.
look forward to the other classes.
Yeah. Oh, this Tuesday, for 3 Tuesdays in a row, we're doing emotional mastery class. I'm going to see, probably try to get it on Zoom and Facebook also.
Okay, if I can, I'd love to join.
Okay. Sweet dreams. Good night, everyone.
Good night,
Good night.
Miriam. Good night,
Bye.
everyone.
Bye.